Chapter 26.
Draco needed the entire school break to physically and magically recover from the taxing magic he'd used against the mirror. Mentally, it took him even longer to come to terms with the visions the mirror had presented to him. For weeks afterward, Potter was noticeably colder towards Draco, a development that Draco welcomed. Previously, Potter had been tentatively trying to forge a friendship with Draco. Now, he simply attempted to be near him, possibly blaming Draco for the disappearance of the Mirror of Erist. Nevertheless, Granger informed Draco that he continued to feature prominently in Potter's lengthy complaints, to the extent that the entirety of Gryffindor, Finnegan included, was becoming increasingly exasperated. Granger suggested that Finnegan might have considered apologizing before Draco cursed him, and Finnegan seemed to take the curse in good stride, or perhaps it was just fear masquerading as acceptance. Nonetheless, Finnegan showed no eagerness to seek vengeance against someone rumored to have command over a mountain troll. Potter and his friends resumed their quest to learn about Nicholas Flamel, an effort Draco openly mocked and refused to aid. As February rolled around, bringing with it the Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff match, with Severus appointed as referee, Potter and his friends became especially insufferable. Potter and Weasley filled the air with claims of Severus's alleged bias and sabotage, not to mention outrageous murder plots aimed at Harry. These claims were largely absurd, although the claim of bias was undeniably true. Following Draco's visit to the restricted section of the library, ridiculous rumors circulated that he had mastered more dark curses there and was assembling body parts to create a monster, presumably to unleash during the upcoming Quidditch match. Draco was initially puzzled by these stories until Granger informed him someone was humorously recycling the plot of the Muggle novel Frankenstein. Amused, Draco adopted the nickname Dr. Frankenstein that Granger teasingly bestowed upon him. Oddly, Granger seemed unfazed by returning to tales of enchanted mirrors and cloaks of invisibility. When she learned Weasley had sought Draco's help and Draco had obliged, she seemed to accept the situation with suspicious ease. Draco harbored a concern that Granger viewed him less as a mad scientist and more as a de facto member of the Gryffindor trio, an idea as unimaginable as her turning him into a devoted Muggle enthusiast. For Christmas, Granger had gifted him a Muggle hoodie, an olive branch he deftly pretended to appreciate while resisting the urge to incinerate it. The navy fabric, red striped sleeves, cannon, and the word Arsenal emblazoned on the front felt violently uncharacteristic of Granger's style, though Gryffindor tastes were enigmatic. His mother's present was truly impressive, far surpassing Granger's offering. The new watch she gave him, with its sleek black leather strap and deep green face that transformed into a small, glittering serpent, felt more aligned with Draco's maturing tastes. The serpent, upon revealing the time, would occasionally venture forth to playfully flick its tongue at the end of Draco's wand. Perhaps it was a subtle peace gesture in memory of the snake Draco had dispatched during their last encounter, or maybe it was just a typical Slytherin gift adorned with snakes. Draco wore the watch regularly, just as Granger constantly sported her bracelet. It wasn't until Valentine's Day, however, that Granger's two dunderhead friends paid any attention to her newly gleaming accessory. Their interest was piqued only because Lavender Brown pointed it out, as Valentine's Day coincided with a potions class. Earlier, Parvati Patil had been flaunting a charm bracelet from a secret admirer, unaware that she might one day become Potter's desperate fallback option. Brown, apparently weary of Patil's showboating, highlighted Granger's significantly finer bracelet, adorned as it was with genuine gems and stones. Granger reluctantly held it aloft for all to admire, while Draco discreetly hoped Severus wouldn't walk in until the spectacle had concluded. He dreaded the thought of Severus discovering that the transfiguration involved in his gift had originated with Granger's. The magical glint of her bracelet captivated the first-year students from both Gryffindor and later Slytherin, who gathered in awe around an exasperated Granger. Patil, meanwhile, shot icy glances at Brown, who seemed content to have used Granger's bracelet to overshadow Patil's gift, despite lacking one of her own secret admirers. At this tender age, any semblance of mature romance captivated the children's imagination. Weasley looked particularly stunned by the commotion. Draco silently mused about Granger and Weasley's future relationship complications. In his opinion, even in her sleep, Granger could do better than Weasley, though it was unlikely she would. "You've worn that bracelet all this time, Hermione," Weasley gasped, eliciting shouts of intrigue, particularly from the disdainful Pansy Parkinson, oblivious to her own eventual enlightenment. "But it wasn't from a boy, was it?" "No, not like that," Granger said, dropping her arm to try to conceal the bracelet, only for Potter's hand to reach out and examine it with curiosity. "What's this tooth here among the stones?" Potter inquired, and Blaise Zabini chuckled as though Christmas had arrived once more. Potter," Zabini mocked. "Could it be that, even with a dragon enthusiast in your ranks, neither you nor Weasley can identify a baby dragon fong? A dragon's tooth?" Pansy squealed in belated shock as understanding dawned, while Granger rolled her eyes and snatched her wrist from Potter's slackened grasp. "Draco gave it to you?" Potter murmured in disbelief. "Yes, he did," Granger confirmed, drawing her arm close protectively. The remark sparked a chorus of teasing and exclamations from everyone gathered, much like children of 8 or 9, shouting about the opposite gender having cooties. "It's for my birthday, not Valentine's Day. And it's not romantic at all. Draco and I are simply friends." Weasley was bowled over by this revelation and whimpered, "Why didn't you mention it was from Malfoy?" causing more tension in the room. Potter didn't look thrilled either. "Stop it, just quit it," Pansy shouted, her cheeks crimson, and Draco could tell there were tears she was holding back. "Draco doesn't fancy her, obviously." "Yeah, because she's a girl," added Dean Thomas, good-naturedly, though Pansy pulled a face. "No, it's because she's a mudblood," she spat out with such distaste that the whole class heard, plunging them into stunned silence. Then Weasley pointed his wand. "Take that back," Weasley yelled, déjà vu washing over Draco as he remembered being at the receiving end of a Weasley spell. With flashbacks of a botched curse that had Weasley spewing slugs, Draco figured it was better not to provoke. "Pansy," Draco said, standing in Weasley's line of fire and risking a slugging himself. "What did you just call my friend?" "What? That's just what she is," Pansy stammered, confidence wavering under Weasley's glare. Draco looked from Pansy to Hermione, feeling the need to end this between them. "Regardless of what you think, Pansy," Draco said firmly, "she is my friend. So any insult towards her is an insult to me. And we all know what happens when someone crosses Draco Malfoy, don't we?" Pansy backed away, nearly collapsing into her seat, covering her mouth in fear. Draco remembered those eyes after their awkward first kiss post-Yule Ball and felt no sympathy now. "As intriguing as this is," Severus's voice cut through from the classroom front, "we're here to learn, not gossip. Detention, Miss Parkinson." Severus's presence brought the room to silence, with many surprised glances his way, especially from Potter and his friends. Severus, punishing a Slytherin for derogatory comments against Muggleborns, surely shocked them. However, it was clear he wasn't siding with Granger, but was supporting Draco against Pansy's behavior. For any observant Slytherin, the alignment was evident. Pansy avoided spatting at Granger after that. The only fallout Draco noticed was a cooler demeanor from fellow Slytherin girls. Already feeling like an outsider, this added chill was barely a blip on his self-image. Meanwhile, Gryffindor was a bit more of a challenge, with Potter and Weasley behaving as if Draco's preference for men had never come up. Granger found it ridiculous whenever this was brought up and even pointed out that if Draco fancied her, he wouldn't be calling her Granger still, now that they were friends. She did ruin her reasoning, though, by asking if Draco shouldn't start calling her Hermione now that he'd declared their friendship. She was unaware of the habitual Granger usage through their school years, let alone the derogatory name he'd used under his breath in the past. Still, She surprised him, telling him excitedly that they'd unveiled the mystery behind Nicholas Flamel, courtesy of Dumbledore's chocolate frog card, recounting Hagrid's slip about a package from Gringotts involving Flamel. Granger was eager for Draco to accompany her and the boys, insisting they leave the study to see something urgent. Waiting in Gryffindor's common room felt like being a mismatched puzzle piece, though Potter and Weasley's presence deterred any attempts to oust him. Granger returned with a hefty book, excitement radiating off her. "I never imagined it would be in here. This was just for some light reading," she whispered eagerly. "That light?" Weasley chipped in, only to be shushed as she skimmed through the pages. An exclamation marked her discovery. "I've found it. I knew it." "Are we allowed to talk now?" asked Weasley with irritation, yet Granger pressed on. Draco found himself listening keenly now. "Nicholas Flamel," she announced, "is the solitary creator of the Philosopher's Stone." Draco gasped, hand clasping his mouth to muffle his astonishment at being in Gryffindor territory. Potter and Weasley exchanged puzzled glances. "What?" they both asked. "Oh, don't you read anything? That's why I got Draco here. Harry, he understands what this means, doesn't he?" Granger prompted. Producing a tenuous smile, Draco tapped her turquoise bracelet. "Indeed, I do. In alchemy, it's renowned for turning objects to gold and granting eternal life." It sounded just like the sort of item Voldemort might covet, should he seek resurrection, but that was a concern for later. Draco regretted not taking Granger more seriously, wishing he had assisted her efforts sooner. Only after reading did Weasley and Potter grasp the concept. "See?" Granger pointed out. "The dog must guard Flamel's Philosopher's Stone. I'm sure he entrusted Dumbledore with its safekeeping since they're close allies, and he suspected it was being hunted. That's the reason he got it relocated from Gringotts."
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with more audiobooks. Happy listening!